Today on the Netflix Gaming Club.
Hello.
Oh, hi, Lindsay. You came. We weren't actually expecting you to come. That's cool. No. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. We're all really glad you're here. Today on the Netflix Gaming Club, Oxenfree. Welcome to the Netflix Gaming Club. It's a book club for video games where for the next 6 weeks, we'll be playing the best games that are available right now for free on your phone with a Netflix subscription. I'm James Carlisle.
I'm Lindsay Burak.
And I'm Yasmin Thomas.
This is a scary episode, guys. Welcome to the show. Let's start with that. Let's say welcome to the show, guys. Scary episode. We got a big one today.
Yes, we do.
With Oxenfree. Yeah.
A lot to go over here.
Twists and turns, shall we say?
Mm-hmm.
Twists and turns.
I was so nervous writing my notes for this episode. Like, it felt like there was so much to hold on to. This is a very narrative-heavy game. And for that reason, I thought that for our spoiler policy for this episode, we'll split the game up into 3 parts. So, listeners, if you haven't played the game at all, listen with us until we get to the cave or the triangle. That'll be our first kind of section of discussion. From there, we'll talk about everything from the triangle up to the mansion sequence near the end of the game. That's kind of the mid-game. That's going to be a pretty frank discussion of the body of the game and kind of what you learn around the midpoint. And then, for those of you who've already played it, or who aren't going to play it, or who don't care, we'll talk about the ending and the endings we got and kind of unravel what happened in the game as best we can. No promises. Also, no B-side this week. This is going to be a pretty long discussion of Oxenfree, so in the interest of saving time, we're going to skip that. All right, let's get into it. Oxenfree was developed by Night School Studio before they were bought by Netflix, probably because of this game. Night School Studio itself is comprised of according to their website, ex-Disney and Telltale employees. So for those of you who played Telltale games, that DNA is going to be pretty clear pretty fast.
Very
also, that's a
unsurprising.
stacked deck.
It's a good pedigree, and I think the Disney of it shows through just as much as the Telltale. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll
So-
second that.
We should say this is a 2D narrative adventure game in which you play a teenage girl who's trapped overnight on a small tourist island with her best friend, her new stepbrother, and others whose intentions towards her are yet unclear. We've discussed our spoiler policy, so let's get right into it. I thought the voice acting, speaking of Disney, was fantastic.
I agree.
Yeah.
For sure.
Absolutely. Especially because, like, at this point, we've played a couple games. There's been different voices. There's been different standards. These were fantastic. Even when I was annoyed by what the person was saying, I was impressed by how they were saying it.
I agree.
So the writing was really, really good. Very millennial.
Very millennial.
Very millennial. Very snarky.
Mhm.
Very, like, what you know going into it that you're a teenager, but my God, did the dialogue options really lean into that.
Oh, that's scary because I thought, wow, these people just talk like I do. Wow,
Oh,
these
no.
people talk like adults.
Jamie outing your age here.
Oh my God. Yeah, well, millennial as hell. No, I'm a teenager. Sorry. Yeah. No, I'm going to graduate high school in a year now. I'm in grade 25. So the acting was really good and the dialogue was great. The writing was really good. It was just specific, I'd say. Maybe let's start with some of the characters. You open up this game as Alex. You play as Alex. And you have your stepbrother Jonas and your best friend since childhood, Ren.
Who, I'm interjecting here because I've brought this up to everybody else like 6 times, is just Sokka from Avatar: The Last Airbender. Every Ren dialogue is picked out of that. And I'm like, it's not necessarily a bad thing, but I just kept being like, is this fan fiction? Is this like, was somebody really invested? Did somebody get really into their modern AU and then just like build it out from there?
Interesting.
I was kind of fine with that because Sokka was my favorite character. So
Okay, there's my problem. Sokka pissed me the hell off as a child.
I never watched it as a child. I watched it only as an adult, so maybe I had a different like viewpoint on it than you would have.
I
That's
watched
true.
it during the pandemic.
Oh, that's a secret third thing. That's
Yeah,
a
yeah,
whole
yeah,
I
nother.
think that's what I did too. I think I also watched it for
It
the
was
first
just so
time.
positive and nice. So does that mean we all had positive and nice feelings about Ren, and we all
No.
loved him and felt like he was our little brother?
Oh, sorry. Did I answer too fast? No.
How did you get along with Ren, Yasmin?
Every time I play a game that has dialogue options, for the sake of keeping my options open, I try to be nice. I try to pick the nice option. This game sometimes didn't give me like a really clear, particularly nice option, but I did my best, even with Ren, even when it was hard. However, since we're talking pre-cave, I did out his crush at the bonfire and slap him. So maybe I wasn't actually being nice to Ren.
I did too, but I took it back. I was like, oh, I'm just kidding.
No, I went all for it and I slapped him.
It
Like
was-
the whole sequence.
You could do that in this game. You could like make a decision and undo it. Did you?
Yeah, that was so weird for me.
I
mean,
noticed-
it works with the themes of the game, which, again, I guess we can't
We'll
quite get into yet.
Mhm.
But I'd never played something which kind of let you walk stuff back in that way.
So, did you guys get what it meant when there was a little thought bubble with a character's face coming up from another character? Because I never figured out what that meant until I read about it after.
Oh, I just figured it meant sort of like they were thinking of you or considering you, or maybe like your relationship with them improved slightly. I wasn't sure exactly what it was.
Well, I thought it was relationship improvement. And then, like, Jonas at one point has a thought bubble for Clarissa when she's not there when you guys are talking about her. So then I went, I have no idea, actually.
So it's a holdover from old Telltale games. The Telltale games used to say, character name, we'll remember that when you said something. So all that's saying is
Gotcha.
the relationship between the two has been saved.
Okay.
That's a really cool...
It's a cool mechanic.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah,
see,
yeah.
okay, also saying that, knowing that now, I'm like, I wish that had been explained to me because that does add a layer, I think, for me. Because I just kept
Yeah.
being like, okay, we're thinking about Clarissa right now. I guess that's relevant. But now I'm like, oh, okay, these pieces.
So it adds a layer, but it takes one away too. Like, it's a little gamey. Like, I understand the need to tell the player, hey, the game's paying attention to you.
Mhm.
But nowadays, I feel like that's just kind of taken as read. Like, I understand that if you're giving me dialogue options, they're going to mean something on the back end of the game.
Well, but you have a lot of dialogue.
Yep.
So knowing which specific thing you said tweaked somebody, that's valuable data to
Yeah.
have.
Or does it take away the meaning of the dialogue options when you don't see that?
Well, I'm not, it may, but what I found really interesting was that sometimes that bubble would pop up during times you wouldn't expect something you
Mhm.
said to be that important, which
Well,
I
that's
thought
why-
is really
yeah.
interesting. It's kind of like a little reminder that no matter what you say, it might have a big effect on how people feel about you. And I think that was valuable.
Yeah.
So what did you think of Ren, Lindsay?
So I was kind of middle of the road with him. Like, I treated him like a friend, but I wasn't afraid to call him out on his bullshit.
There was so much bullshit.
There was
Yeah,
a lot
there
of
was.
bullshit.
There was just so much bullshit.
Ren creeped me out a little bit at first. I also kind of related to Ren. I just got like this insecure
Oh, 100%.
energy off of him.
Mm.
You know, I kind of feel like he might be in love with me. Like there's like a little bit of like that. And like Jonas is the new guy. Jonas is the new stepbrother. And I really felt a performative element from Ren when he was like, maybe not performative, maybe he was like staking his territory. But
Mm.
I
he
don't
would say,
think
like,
it's that he's in love with you. I think that he feels that he has dibs. Like Jonas is
Yes.
coming in, and technically, since Jonas is your stepbrother, he's technically, in a legal sense, closer to you than Ren is, and Ren is not fucking down with that.
Yeah, he wants to like solidify his place as like, I'm the person who's so close to you that we're like siblings.
and the way he does that, the way I picked up on that initially was with the cigarette. You get offered a cigarette by Jonas, and I said yes to the cigarette. And then Ren was like, "What? You don't smoke? Are you gonna throw up again?" Like bring up an old memory, like kind of like you take a move
I know so much about you. Like,
Exactly.
don't you know that I know you better?
and stay the person I know you as.
Yes.
Don't let this person change you.
Mm.
Yeah.
And
There's a selfishness there, though.
There
Like,
is a
I think that's why Ren
possessiveness.
tweaked me so much, because a bunch of the different things he says and does, you're like, okay, yeah, sure, that's understandable, but again, no spoilers, no spoilers. We are trapped in a situation. Can you stop making it about you for 10 seconds, my guy? Like, this shit is off the rails. It's not... I don't care about your feelings. This is why I have so much trouble doing nice playthroughs. I always try, and then I'll like snap at some point and be like, shut up.
good to hear. Okay, this is gonna be a fun episode. Okay, so I tried to be nice at first. I was getting on the boat with Jonas. We get to the dock, and Jonas offers me the cigarette, and then he says, "Hey, Alex, like, can you hang
Hang
back
back
for a second?"
second.
And so I said, "Yeah, of course. Like,
Me
you want
too,
to
me
talk to me? You
too.
know, we're friends. You don't know everybody. It's cool." And then my phone rang or something happened in the real world, and I put the game down. And then when I picked it back up, it said, "Oxenfree, start a new game." And I was back on the boat, and we do the whole intro again because this game's save system is very frustrating. I
Yes.
kept
Yeah.
losing progress. It seems to only save when you change screens, and
Mhm.
you can be on a screen for like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Because you have to play out it's about changing locations where it
Yeah.
saves when you move from place to place. And yeah, as you say, it can take 20 minutes. Like sometimes there's 3 different problems you have to solve within a landscape, within a locale. So I would try and play it, and then my phone would ring, something would happen. I would be like, I've
It's a mobile
allotted
game.
this amount of time. And if I didn't just I would have to push the other thing back or keep playing this because otherwise you're screwed.
And
Yeah.
And I am not solving that puzzle again, my guy, let me tell you.
Well, it's kind of breaking like the mobile game contract, where it should be like, at this point, I just assume if I close the app on my phone, it's gonna be okay with that. It's not gonna be like, oh, you didn't press the 3 close icons. You didn't find the 5 save jewels. Like we can't, you know.
You have not collected all the Shikon jewel shards.
Did you guys find that sometimes when you were moving from location to location that it didn't say saving in the corner and you were like, oh no, what if I close the game and it didn't actually save even though it's supposed to between
I
areas?
didn't notice that, but now I'm like retroactively scared of that before we do the sequel.
I did notice that, but I just was like, I am taking it on faith that if they are not saving the game periodically, I'm just gonna die in real life.
I resented that I had to restart the intro, and I was a little pissed. And so I made different choices,
Oh,
and the game remembered those choices. And so that's kind of where, in my playthrough, the bullying started.
the
So, like, you know, because like Jonas, so I'm getting off the boat, and I'm frustrated. I just want to get to the next screen, and Jonas is like, "Hey, you know, just before, can we hook up?" No, can we hook up?
I was
Can we
gonna say
talk?
that's a different game entirely.
I got vibes at times. And then I said, we'll talk about the vibes I got in this game. And then I just was like, don't be weird, Jonas. Come on. We're all hanging out here. We're not splitting up. Don't be weird. No, what I said was, how are you already being weird, Jonas?
Oh my god.
And
Jamie.
and Jonas is like kind of like normal. He's like a sports guy. And I was just like, yeah, maybe we'll push this a little farther. So then I said, like, and then I took the cigarette from Jonas, and this is when I learned you could undo decisions. Because then Jonas was like, "Oh, hey, I got your cigarette," and I was like, "I don't want that, dude." He just like threw it away.
You're just messing with him. You're so mean.
Yeah, I kind of decided I wanted to torture Jonas just because I didn't know what the game was, and I didn't know our backstories yet. So without having the backstory yet to infill, I didn't know how to make decisions as Alex that were consistent. So I just tried to make decisions that were entertaining.
Well, you start off and you know Ren's your best friend and Jonas is your stepbrother, and neither you nor Jonas are sure how to feel about that. So you do have some context to go off of.
Enough to choose to be nice if you want. Yeah, definitely.
If you want.
I will say I did have the conversation with Jonas because I was like, fuck it, YOLO, like let's see where this goes.
What was the conversation?
It's just him. The other problem with this game is what I said about Ren, where I was like, stop making this about your feelings. That applies to Jonas too. That applies to Clarissa. That applies to like this is where I'm like, it's a teenage game. Like not in a mean way, but the way that the characters react to things is like so about me before it's like, oh fuck, shit's happening. How do we solve this?
Interesting.
So yeah, Jonas pulls you aside and then it's just like, like we're siblings now. I just want to talk about that a little bit. And I was like, bro, is this the fucking time? I was nice. I picked the nice dialogue options. But as I'm tapping all this on my screen, I'm going, really? Really?
I mean, it's never more going to be the time. Like for every point in that game, that's the most
the
appropriate
most,
time.
yeah.
It's the most.
You didn't
You're
know
right.
that, though.
But I also was like, there's nothing either of us is going to gain from this. Like, do you think it's weird? Yeah. Do you think it's weird? Yeah. Okay, we both think it's weird. What the fuck more are we? Can we go? Can we go up the hill and meet our friends?
Yeah,
Well, my friends, not his friends.
Yeah,
Sorry, Jonas.
Exactly.
Sorry, Jonas.
Well, that's kind of up to you, isn't it? I mean, everybody in this game has a set relationship and an opinion on you except Jonas. Jonas is the person who everybody else is kind of telling you who you are, and you get to kind of define Jonas's place in the group, and you can be nice and welcoming and integrate him, or you can fuck with him. Yeah.
I didn't consider fucking with him, which now I'm like, do I do another playthrough where I'm mean? Because this sounds
Okay.
interesting.
We'll talk about how that felt for me.
So, this is actually my second time playing this game, and my initial decision, or I guess feeling about what I wanted to do going into it, was that I wanted to make very different decisions from the first time that I played this game, so that I could kind of see
Like the full scope.
the full scope of the game and see what's different. I ended up doing everything almost exactly the same
Yeah, that
as the
happens.
first time.
Okay,
So I
now my
went
question is,
in-
were you nice the first time and you were nice the second time and you couldn't make yourself not be nice?
I was nice. I was
Yeah.
nice, and I couldn't make myself not be nice. Except to Clarissa. I was meaner to Clarissa this time around.
Can I say I miss being that kind of person?
I was going to say, Lindsay, I knew when you said you couldn't change the decisions, I was like, yeah. And I'm saying it now because even when I just said maybe it'd be fun to play through mean, I know if I replay it, I'll make the same decisions and be like, oh, that's too mean to say to him. Oh, man, I don't want to hurt someone's feelings.
I miss that. I miss caring. I remember when I was younger, I replayed Fallout 3 and Mass Effect. And those are both games I went in going like, I'm going to see what happens if you're a cool badass. And like 3 sad faces in, I was like, I'm sorry. I'll give you all my water. I'm so sorry. And now, man. I just wanted to see how far I could push it. I wanted to see I wanted to know when I started this game, I was a little scared. I was like, holy shit, did we pick another mom simulator? Is this another management sim? So I wasn't sure if I was supposed to bring everybody together or if it was like a social simulator. I couldn't tell exactly what this game wanted me to do with its dialogue system. What I could tell is that this was totally a vibes-based game.
100%.
And from square one, the vibes are off.
100%.
Shit's weird.
I will also say that, shit's weird. I know we didn't really give a spoiler description, but you go in when you download this game knowing it's a mystery.
Yeah.
I was going in with that knowledge and going, okay, I don't want to alienate anybody too early who doesn't already hate me because more brains the better, more clues, all of that kind of thing. From a pragmatic standpoint, I was like, okay, I'm not trying to fuck this up too bad yet. Maybe later if they turn out to be dead weight, but
It's
you
funny.
know, we're pre-triangle. We don't even know yet.
It's funny that you use the caveat who doesn't already hate me, and I'm immediately like, okay, so I'm not Clarissa.
Oh, fuck that bitch. Sorry. Pardon my French.
I mean, it was like a clear, immediate fuck you vibe.
Yeah, honestly.
Precisely. No, yeah. You get to the bonfire. Not even before the bonfire. She throws kind of a shit fit, but in a way where I was like, okay, whatever. There's some beef, but I don't know how bad it is.
Yeah.
And also some people, Ren didn't tell her that more people were being invited, whatever. I have friends who react like that, whatever. And then you get to the bonfire and this chick, oh my God. I felt like I was in a high school party situation again.
She reminded me of people I hated from high school.
Yes.
So
great writing.
Everybody in this game reminded me of how much I hated being in high school. And I think another thing that went into me kind of bullying Jonas was that this game reminded me of how lonely I was in high school because I didn't have a lot of experiences like this. We all had some. You know, I definitely went to some parties and I definitely had some weird nights on weird islands. That happens. But I was feeling very threatened by this game and by the sociability. And high school media in general, I find very threatening. It always kind of makes me feel like, oh, I'm not a social person. I'm a loner kind of person. And so I was kind of turning in on myself when this game started. But when you get to the bonfire, because the vibes are so off, it kind of gives you permission to not know what to do and to just kind of, okay, these people think the way they think. They're going to feel the way they feel. I'm here. I'm not leaving. So I'm just going to kind of be myself and let go a little bit and not control. And so I found the bonfire scene to be actually kind of comforting because it was so weird and because it was oh, these people are like me. Oh, Ren's kind of like me. Clarissa's kind of like me. Sorry. Alex is kind of like me because of the decisions I make.
That actually reminded me of something that I really appreciated about the game, which is that people's tragic backstories, for example, aren't just explained to you.
Yeah.
They're brought up in the dialogue. You can mention, for example, when Jonas says oh, you guys cleared the attic, was it, or basement? I forget. Out for me, it like
Yes,
made a
yes,
bedroom.
it's the
You can
attic.
say like, oh, that was Michael's. And then you know immediately, okay, Michael is someone who used to live with them.
I
Who is
chose
this
not to say
person?
that, but
And I want to keep the Michael discussion for post triangle,
yeah.
but yeah,
That's part of the Jamie. That's part of the conversation. I think that you skipped, or actually, it might be when you guys land before.
Yeah, it
before
is
Jonah
before
goes
he
to the
mentions
side.
Michael?
Yeah. Michael's mentioned pre-triangle.
Yeah.
But we can get more into
Just-
that in the spoiler sections.
Yeah, just because I think Michael is very present at the bonfire scene. There, like,
Yeah.
for a lot of reasons, Michael's very present
Yeah.
at the bonfire scene. But I didn't know he existed at that point, so I didn't know that
Oh.
these characters were reacting to something.
Okay.
I just thought they
Oh.
were just really weird.
Okay.
And this game is very thematically about like what's beneath the surface in a lot of different ways, right?
Mhm.
Like it's kind of a hacky metaphor, but I think about the iceberg metaphor a lot, right? The idea
Yeah.
that what you see is the
Mhm.
tip and the context is all below the surface.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I appreciated that they didn't just give us exposition all over
Oh,
the place. It was well written. I liked it.
The storytelling in this game, man,
Yeah.
like the way it's drawn out, the way you're such, like you're saying, the way you're such an active participant in it, and you're kind of exploring through what you choose to share. Like
Mhm.
the more you talk, the more of you there is necessarily,
Yeah.
right? And that's just like beautiful mechanically.
Which I thought was a really interesting point because you can choose not to pick any dialogue options. You can just let your voice, like the bubbles, fade away and not say anything. And I'm pretty sure you can do an entire playthrough with saying absolutely nothing.
Like a
Which-
90s FPS
yeah.
protagonist, yeah.
Which would be maybe a bit more boring, but interesting to see the result of in the end.
Apparently it's a playthrough. I wonder
Yeah.
if it gets its own ending. I think this game has multiple endings. We'll get there way later.
Yeah.
I did accidentally fuck up a number of times where I would be either deciding between a dialogue option or busy. I turn the subtitles on because that's how I watch movies.
me
That's
too.
how I do everything. I need to have
Same.
subtitles. One of my friends and I were joking, like, I can't hear without my subtitles. I turned them on, so I would be reading the dialogue, and then I would realize there were dialogue bubbles, and then occasionally I wouldn't react fast enough, and they'd fade away.
Yeah,
so I
same.
involuntarily silented a number of scenes where I wish I'd said something, but
Yeah.
hey, still got there in the end.
My
All roads lead to a cave.
yeah. Okay, we will get to the cave so soon, but there are like two more things I want to talk about first. First, we should mention that this game is played mostly through it's like point and click. It's not really a point and click adventure game. I mean, it is a point and click adventure game, but you're not really solving puzzles. You're more just keeping the
yeah.
story going.
I kind of like thought of it as a point and click walking simulator. And I know walking
That's the way to put
simulator
it.
is like a pejorative term
Has been.
usually, but
Capital I,
Um,
capital G indie game.
yeah,
You know, this
but
is the
like
2010s.
I don't mind walking simulators. I think they can be really interesting if the story's good. And in this case it was. This game was very story, but not super game.
So mechanically, most of the time you just click a spot on the map or on the screen, and Alex will walk to it and
Very
Or
slowly.
climb to it.
or will just walk in a circle and go nowhere. Like
Yeah.
I loved, again, because this is a mobile game, I loved the pathing on it. I love that you don't have to like sit there and like walk her over everywhere. I did find the pathing a little iffy. Like I couldn't always get her to go where she wanted to go. Sometimes I'd be picking dialogue and it would think I was picking
Oh
somewhere
my
for her
god,
to stand.
every time.
Very
Yeah.
frustrating.
There was the other thing where, yeah, if you wait slightly, like if the dialogue bubbles fade at all, it will take that click as a movement.
Oh, wow.
Which made me start choosing things way faster, which made me start saying shit that I wasn't necessarily intending to say. Like it was
And
I had to get over that.
you cut off the other player's dialogue. Like
Yes,
it's hard to
that's what I
know
was gonna
when to
say.
talk.
Well, that was
You
why I
kept
let them
interrupting
fade
people.
sometimes because I was like, I want to hear the full exposition that's going on here. And in order to do that, I guess I just have to never like let them
Well,
monologue.
See, I didn't do that. I just clicked the options anyway, and what happens is you're constantly interrupting people, but sometimes you'll have like two conversations with the same person at the same time. Like they'll be talking about
What?
whatever you were talking about, and you interact with the environment and like click on
Oh, shit.
something that you want to examine and then pick a dialogue option based on that thing, and then you'll be talking about both things at the same time. So it often didn't like stop a previous conversation. It just made multiple conversations happen at once.
So some roughness maybe in the implementation of the systems, but in general, I think they worked
In
pretty
general,
well.
pretty smooth. I do like that the game transports you kind of where you need to go. Like you just have to tap it because if there had been an actual climbing mechanic again,
God.
I think I would have cried.
Yeah, if I actually had to like platform around this map, I would not have had the time. Anyway, It is kind of a semi-open world. Like some paths are closed off to you. You have to get there in the narrative, but you can kind of choose where you want to go most of the time. There's not really a reason to go to most places, but
Yeah.
I accidentally went one or two places I wasn't supposed to go and then was just walking in circles.
cool.
Yeah,
so
I
the
got
open
lost
world
a few
thing
times.
kind of, screwed me, but
The
very
other-
fun.
The other aspect to the open world in this game is you have a radio that will just pick up stuff in the static. One of the stations that you know is there is like a lore station wherever
Well,
you see
it's the tourist, like those green ears you see downtown.
Yeah, totally. I thought this game was Canadian for a while. This has such a Canadian vibe. It's not. It's from California, but like
What?
I
Okay,
know
that
I
is
thought,
not the energy.
I thought it was like Portland or Vancouver.
Mhm.
This game has such a Canadian vibe. I don't know why. I think because it starts on a ferry, which made me think Vancouver Island, and the voice acting, like the voice on the radio that gives you like the background on certain locations. That guy sounds so much like a CBC local reporter. He sounds so cool.
So the big thing for the radio for me, and this is like both pre and post Triangle, that you can get it going on, is you pick up pre-Triangle. You pick up a lot of like weird music, but there's occasionally snippets of someone else. I was moving really slowly through this game because once they introduced the radio, I was like stopping every 5 seconds to just flip through the entire dial.
Cool.
And I forget this because I don't have a car and I don't, see radios anymore in this digital day and age. But there's a lot of fucking like numbers on that dial.
It's an inefficient medium, really. You should just select the show and download it directly. I think.
100%.
That'd be a better
Yeah,
way to
I
do
can't
it,
believe we
yeah.
haven't gotten there.
Some visionary.
Some visionary. I mean, they do at one point go like, this is the biggest radio station or the most powerful. And I was like, you're going to be obsolete in like 10 years. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
Radio
buddy.
producers, we love you. If you want to hire me,
I'm so sorry.
so available. Love the CBC. Grew up with you. Love you guys.
But so that entire dial, scrolling through it every single time, made me so slow because they would be like talking about something and I'd be like, shut up. I'm hearing some like samba on the edge of this. Like I gotta tune in.
I started finding Morse code on one of the stations.
Yes.
So I got such lost vibes from the early part of this game. I don't think there's a number station, but the Morse code and like just the islandness of it and the mystery elements of it.
And there's a lot of like talking radio as well. Like not just the tourist station, but someone's talking to you. Somebody's talking in general. Someone's just speaking into a void and you're the one picking up on it, Like really, really good energy with that mechanic. I really enjoyed it.
Okay, so right before we get into the cave, let's talk about the moment that kind of won me over to this crew. I started like liking them is when you play 2 games at the bonfire. You play Fuck, Marry, Kill, and you play Truth or Slap.
Okay, wait, question. You played 2 games at the bonfire? I played Truth or Slap.
You didn't play Fuck, Marry, Kill?
No.
How do you
Interesting.
avoid playing that? I thought it was like part of the.
Well,
The
What did I
thing.
do? Wait. You guys tell me how
Interesting.
this happens
oh god,
because
I can't remember how it went down. You played Truth or Slap first,
Yeah.
right?
I don't remember which one
Well,
comes first.
You play Truth or Slap first because that's what I went into, and then I, yeeted over that fence.
And then it
But-
all became like focused on me. Everyone wanted to talk about me, which was weird. Because like Clarissa and Nona fully say like, oh yeah, we're not your friends. Oh, we should say, you're showing up at the beach and it's weird. And then they go like, oh, there were supposed to be 20 of us, but that's only 5 of us.
And we also hate
and
most
we
of each
hate
other.
each other.
Yeah.
And like, that was a moment when I was like, oh, weird shit happens. It's okay. And and I thought that's why the vibes were off, right? I was like, oh, okay, we're just not friends and we're stuck together. And that's what, again, this game's all about giving you an answer and then giving you a different answer that's beneath that. And then one that's beneath that,
Mhm.
So I guess we'll start with Wolfie and then that'll be it. How did Fuck, Marry, Kill go for you?
So I want to say Ren was the one who suggested the game in the first place. So I'm
makes
like,
sense.
all right, let's play with this a little bit. So I said
I think we might have got the same one.
I would marry Nona because she seemed nice, and like if I'm gonna be stuck with somebody, I want them to be someone I don't hate.
Same.
Then I said I'd fuck Clarissa because I assume she's
Whoa.
a hot girl.
Same, because she hated me. And I was like, no, by the end of this game, we're going to be together. I decided that the minute I met Clarissa. I'm like, all right, you and me, girl. We're going to do this.
And then
Ren just
Ren
goes,
liked the choices.
well, you'll kill me?
Yeah, but Ren likes the choices at
Yeah.
first until he realizes, wait, I'm the one who's left to kill.
I just fully said, yeah, Ren, I'm going to kill you.
Yeah.
And he was like, all right, cool, I get it.
yeah, that's what I did too.
He's like, between me and Clarissa, I mean, come on, be real
It
now.
was such a good moment. And Man, I was so sure. I was so sure. I'm like, okay, I get what this game is about. This game is about me winning Clarissa over. We'll get there.
Very different vibes for us, Jamie. Very different vibes. But really, so like you do truth or slap and then Ren suggests fuck, marry, kill immediately after?
I don't remember, to be honest. Like,
Because we did truth or slap and then I went over and started like touching everything and then I got to go over the fence.
Oh, interesting.
I think I just didn't talk to anyone.
I can't remember who suggested it. Someone suggests we go and check out the cave.
Yes.
And
I
then
want to say that was also Ren.
it would be. Was Ren like high at this point? Had Ren
Oh,
started
not
doing
yet.
drugs?
he
but
takes
he
his
will be.
magic cupcake once you get to the cave.
Okay.
Like a totally sane person who wants to go into a cave stoned out of their mind.
Depends on the width of the cave. It
be
all doesn't become
fair,
fucking descent, you
We
know?
weren't expecting a triangle, so.
Okay, and so that's going to bring us to our first spoiler warning. We're going to talk about everything from the cave up to the mansion section of the game. So if you haven't played that yet, we recommend you do. Okay, so we're going to do a quick pause and then get into it. So let's talk about the triangle. You go into the cave, and there's like some
Rocks.
Wolfie, do you want to catch? Do you want to cover this?
I can go over this. So
what happens when you go in the cave?
So you go in the cave and there are some like little piles of rocks like that are stacked on top of each other. And I guess Ren is like, you should go tune in with your radio
Right.
because there's, I don't know, I guess there's some rumor that something weird happens when you do
At
that.
some point, someone has to know you're in a video game.
So you go over, you find a station, and then when you're looking through your stations, one section of the stations start to glow red, and you
Mhm.
go into the middle of that, and then you see some weird like lighting effects, like something strange is happening when you tune in at these rocks. And I don't remember exactly why Ren doesn't come with you, but Jonas wants to explore further into the cave.
Mhm.
And so you follow him in and you come across a floating triangle like way high up in the cave system.
And it like just doesn't fit with anything. It's like a 2D triangle, just like
on
it's
top of
just floating there. It's like clearly not part of the world.
yeah.
which they did very, very well. Like,
Oh, yeah.
all of the I guess we're in the cave now. We can say it. All of the supernatural elements are very well done in terms of like stylistically they jar you.
Yeah.
Man, when I saw that triangle though, I was just like, okay, we have a game going. All right, what the hell is this thing?
I think until that point, I was like, if they make me talk to these teenagers anymore, I'm going to strangle someone myself. So I was very relieved to have the freaky shit start coming at me.
I was a little disappointed because that's when I realized, okay, this is not just a mobile game version of Lord of the Flies. So we're not going that way. And I was like, oh, okay, fine.
That'll be someone will have made that. I believe in us.
So there's a triangle, and much like with the light, you kind of tune your radio, and the triangle starts shooting beams out of it.
Expands.
It expands.
Because it's a little triangle, and then it grows an arm, and then there's another little triangle, and then you keep tuning your radio, and it grows another little arm, and then it's a big
And
triangle.
It's a big triangle.
Wow.
And then it's you in that triangle for the next 20 hours, man. Like that's you in the game.
Yeah.
2 hours.
It's like a
Um,
4-hour game.
So you start hearing some voices over the radio.
Yeah.
And are we going to say what the voices are in this section, or are we going to wait till the ending? Because you find out pretty soon.
You
find
found out very soon because you
found
had
it immediately.
subtitles on.
Because okay, so I'm just going to say it. The subtitle said ghost. And I was like, great.
Same.
Thanks.
I mean, okay, was I assuming it wasn't a ghost? No.
And Ghost doesn't tell you that much. There's lots of types of ghosts. I've seen
Also-
Ghostbuster. I've seen other movies with ghosts.
You know
in
what?
them.
That's not even a spoiler because they're not actually ghosts.
They're
That's
not?
true. That's true.
What do
no,
you mean? They're ghosts.
Did you,
No.
some of the letters explained what
We'll
actually
get there.
happened?
We'll get there.
they're
Okay.
not actually ghosts. I'm with Lindsay on
Again,
that one.
levels and levels, right? Like you get, okay, this is a ghost game. Well, these ghosts have
As it
they're
turns
people. They got
out.
stories. They got reasons to be. We'll get there a little bit later, but let's talk about what happens mechanically. So you turn on the radio, you hear a ghosty message that says something about leaving, I think. Leave possible, I think, is written on
Leave
the wall.
possible.
And then what is it? Like a flash? You get split up. You wake up outside the
Yes.
cave.
Oh, no. So when you're in the cave,
Yeah.
you and there's the whole thing, and it's you and Jonas in the cave also, we should clarify. Ren comes with you, gets too high, goes like, you guys have fun. Again, not the
related to
best
Ren.
friend I personally
Yeah.
would have chosen. But you and Jonas are in the cave. The big triangle happens. You get some like weird leave dialogue and some like fun distorting of both like the visuals and the audio. And then poof. And then you and Jonas try and go back and the cave is sealed shut. Which was also the point where I was like, oh yeah, baby.
Yeah, now we're in it. So the game kind of opens up here. Do we wake up outside the cave or do we just walk outside?
So I can't comment on this part because I ran into a glitch where this small chapter of the story had no dialogue.
What?
So all I could figure out from the story, and I vaguely remembered it from the first time I played, so I wasn't super bothered by it, but it was very annoying, and I tried to restart several times, and I don't know, I tried a bunch of stuff, couldn't fix it. The only thing that fixed it was getting through that chapter, and then it kind of resolved itself. But there's no dialogue. I still had dialogue options. So the 3 bubbles or whatever came up and I could answer people, but I couldn't see the full answer of what I was saying because there was no dialogue, there was no subtitles. I just had the cues in the bubbles.
So whether sure is like, oh, sure, or oh, sure, fine. Like you don't know.
And like from that, I figured out, okay, something's going on. Ren is somewhere. Clarissa is somewhere. I have to pick one of them to go help because I'm at the radio tower, like, and getting calls from people, like distress signals.
So this is where the game kind of opens up completely, right? Like now you have your map, you have your radio, you have 2 competing objectives, and it just says, go. Go play and go explore. Very cool. Got a huge like Silent Hill 2 vibe from this part of the game between the map and the radio, and you have a little flashlight at one point.
I will say also the thing I really enjoy about the game is that like it is story over everything, and the way that it executes that a lot of the time is by letting you in somewhere, trapping you in somewhere, and then either the door reopens or in this case, the cave reopens or all of those kinds of things. I did really like that because it felt like every bit of story you got felt earned.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Because you were trapped, you were solving a puzzle. You were dialing your radio until you could like fuck some shit up again 90% of the time. It becomes kind of episodic because of the way that the game puts you in a situation,
each room
keeps
feels
you
like
there.
an episode.
Exactly.
Yeah, I felt a very TV vibe from this game. Like I would get like a chunk of the story done and I'd be like, okay, I need to put this down and think about it. And
speaking of TV, apparently as of 2021, so I don't know if there's any news on it, there's talk of them making this into a TV show.
That would work.
I mean, I don't know if Yellow Jackets kind of ate their lunch on that one.
I was going to say, they've been... Since 2021, we've had some people fill a certain niche, but...
We've also had streaming shows pull the hell back.
Yes.
And on the other hand, video game shows have gotten really big. There's Fallout, there's The Last of Us.
Mm-hmm.
I could see
We'll see if it even ends up coming out.
I feel this way. I feel the way about a lot of video game adaptations where it's like a game with a strong narrative is such a special, cool thing that if you can make a game with a strong narrative that sells its narrative through gameplay, then making a TV show is kind of like...
cheapening it?
Yeah, it's
like,
just taking a step
point?
back. Yeah, I feel like something's lost. I don't know. Anyway, so every scene felt episodic, and you're trapped in rooms, and one of the ways that they trap you in a room is with time loops.
Yep.
I love a time loop. I like Groundhog Day. I like every episode of Star Trek that has a time
Donnie
loop.
Darko.
Oh, there's a lot of Donnie Darko in this game. There's a lot. Maybe that's why I thought it was Canadian. There's a lot of Donnie Darko in this game. I didn't love getting stuck in a time loop. I found it frustrating. I found a lot of the time it was just like, well, you have to go interact with an object somewhere on the screen and maybe you can't see it, so go explore. And it was just like, man, I'm just trying to play your game here. Why do I gotta like go kick a soccer ball 3 times? Like,
I did like the time loops.
I liked them too.
I think I particularly liked it because the way that the game looks during the time loops is very, very visually engaging. Like it goes from
the tape cracking on the screen.
Yeah,
well,
the tape
like
cracking,
static, the
distortion.
The distortion, yeah.
It looks really cool. Sometimes when it flips you upside down, also really fun because it flipped me upside down a couple times and made me choose dialogue options. And I was like, do I just turn my phone? Do I learn to read upside down? What do I do here?
Smart.
I did turn my phone
upside down.
I didn't even think of it.
You were just like, the game has added a difficulty.
There's so much upside down shit in this game. There's at one point you start meeting like an upside down version of you and it tells you what to do in the past.
Yep.
Yeah.
We'll get into that. I
Yeah.
didn't understand any of that.
Oh, you didn't? They
Well, I know they explained it.
it.
Well, that's ending
All
section.
right,
We'll get to that in the
all
ending
right,
section.
all right.
They explained it, but their explanation didn't make a damn
Anyway,
lick of sense.
About the time loop things,
Yes.
I also liked them because I didn't like the annoyance of having to walk the same path like 3 times or whatever, 4
Yeah.
times, 5 times sometimes. But I liked it from a story perspective and from like what it brought to the narrative overall, basically. And so I appreciate it because of that. So it made it so that it didn't really mind having to take the time to go over some places. And there was at one point where you couldn't even go the place you wanted to go. You had to go somewhere else.
Yep.
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 That's
I
when I
will-
started getting sick of it.
I will also say, like, what you were saying earlier, Jamie, about the time loop and, like, you have to find these objects and stuff. I enjoyed it because for me, it was a find the difference game almost. Because every time the time loop reset, something in your environment would have changed. And that was going to be the key. So it was really, really fun for me to treat it like a different puzzle to solve.
This game does have kind of like a hidden object layer to it, doesn't
Exactly.
it? Yeah.
Which those are the kinds of games that I almost spent real money on like 6 years ago.
So, like we mentioned a little earlier, the first choice you make, and kind of the only huge choice like this you make in the game, is do you want to go after Ren, your best friend, or Clarissa, the woman that hates you?
I'm
And who
going
do
to
you go
say I
rescue?
know which one you picked, Jamie. I'm
I
going to
had
say
a goal. Yeah, I was proving loyalty.
I went after Ren because I was assuming loyalty, I guess. I was going, well...
Bros before women. I respect that.
I think my other thing there was that I was just going like, you talk to both of them. They're both obviously freaked out. I was like, Clarissa's not going to be shocked if I choose someone over her, to be honest. Ren is going to have another shit fit. And I've already seen like 1.5 of those at this point, and I'm good. I'm done with those. So it was kind of a pragmatic choice as well.
How about you, Wolfie?
So I also picked Ren to go to first, which I also did the first time I played this game. But remember that I couldn't see any of the dialogue during this section.
Still.
Wait, still, I
Well,
thought it was just the cave.
No. It was just after the cave.
Oh my
Like
god.
from just getting out of the cave to like making the
That's a really
decision to
important-
go to one of the two of them.
Yeah.
I couldn't hear any of their explanations for what was going on, why they were in different places suddenly, or what their excuses were for like why you should pick them.
I like
Okay.
excuses as a description.
What's my excuse for why you should save me from these ghosts?
Anyway, so I picked Ren maybe because I remember doing it the first time, so I knew to me that it was an option that made sense to me, and I also really didn't like Crulissa.
Crulissa?
Crulissa.
Crulissa DeVille. Yeah.
Crulissa DeVille. I didn't like Clarissa. Although, and I'm sure we'll get to this later in this section, but I did change my mind about her when we went to one of the flashbacks about her and Michael.
Funny. Yeah, so I chose Clarissa because I was trying to like win her over.
You're trying to hit. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to smash. And I mean, Clarissa got smashed. That happened. I was so sad. I was like, holy shit, did I kill Clarissa by choosing her? Because she jumps out a window,
Yeah,
right?
She does, yeah. No matter what order you pick,
Yeah.
because she does that for us as well.
And then she's
And
Fine.
well, fine is a really strong descriptor
I
in this
was-
game, I would feel.
surprised because Alex is just like, oh, she's gone. Well, let's move on. And I was like, what? We're not going to... Clarissa just died and then disappeared. And Alex is like, well, let's go get Ren now.
Oh, that reminds me. There's a point later where I don't know if this happens post mansion, so I'm going to be vague about who it is, but someone also has like a dying moment, and the person you're talking to is like, oh no, I can't believe it. They just died. I don't know what happened. And then you can say to them like, oh, well, that happened with Clarissa as well, and she was fine. And I was trying to say it in a comforting way, like,
Oh,
don't worry,
no.
I'm
I
sure
didn't-
he's fine. It wasn't
Yeah.
your problem.
How did that dialogue
but
option play
it
out?
went so snarky. It was like you were saying like, what's wrong with you? Like, clearly this person's fine. Like,
Wow.
Clearly
But-
the
and I
blood
was
and
like-
guts you see before you were
I was
fake.
like, oh no, I was trying to be nice. Like, what happened?
I didn't sugarcoat Clarissa's death at all. I walked up to Nona. I'm like, listen, Clarissa's fucking dead, man. She jumped out a fucking window. She's gone, man. Move on.
I will say personally, we haven't talked about her that much, but I think it's because there's not much to say. Nona's not like...
She's the
she's
farthest
not
person
a
away.
person. That's mean. She's a person, but everybody else has like either a relationship to you or some kind of drive or like some kind of backstory that's like deeply involved. Nona's just kind of
there.
Like, she exists in her relationships to Ren and Clarissa and absolutely nothing else, which to me made her, like, I frankly didn't give a shit. I'm so sorry, but she wasn't doing anything. She wasn't really furthering things. I didn't have a use for her. So she was kind of interesting to me in that sense, because everybody else has a very clear way that they push the game forward. And then she just kind of shows up sometimes, says some weird kooky shit, disappears. Like,
I used her as like kind of a buffer between Jonas and Ren. Like when they were
Interesting.
having their fight in the radio
Dangerous
tower,
buffer. Yeah, well,
I was like, all right, well, both of them are arguing about who's gonna like go with me and like who's more useful to me. And I'm like, you know what? Clearly Jonas is more useful to me, but I'm not gonna pick him. I'm gonna pick Nona, so these two are stuck together and they can work through their shit without me.
okay.
Because I
that's
don't
so
want
funny.
to hear either of them pissing me off by like just rambling about the other while I take them away on this adventure. Like, I don't want anything to do with that. So I chose Nona there.
Let's talk about the radio tower scene. As you're going back to the radio tower, when everybody's there, except Clarissa, because she's dead.
well, maybe.
You know, she's deadish. Jonas and Ren start fighting. Earlier in the game, Jonas can ask you whose fault this is, and you can kind of decide, like, well, it's nobody's fault, it's your fault, it's my fault. In my game, Jonas was pretty focused on fault by the time we got back to the tower. I didn't blame him. I said, you know, fault? There's ghosts. What are you talking about? But Jonas is really mad at Ren because Ren's high, and Ren's mad at Jonas because Jonas is there, and they kind of come to
I think
argue.
Jonas also gets to be a little mad at him because it was Ren's idea to go to the cave. So, like, if you trace it all the way back,
That's fair.
when you're saying he's focused on fault, I think that's a little bit there. It's not like it's explicitly stated, but I think that's a little.
I got so tribal at this point. I was like, listen, Ren's my long-term friend. Jonas, we don't know you, and now you're going after Ren and talking about how everything's his fault and how his
You
plan's
full
not
on
going to work.
survivored this game.
I just was like, listen, Ren's my old friend. I'm going to be here for my friend. Jonas is the new guy. He's coming after us. Like, Jonas, chill the fuck out. You're not helping right now, you know? And so I think I tried to choose Nona in that, but I don't think I could. She wouldn't come with me.
Oh, interesting.
Did she come with you guys?
She came with me,
I may
yeah.
just be misremembering. My eventual choice was I took Ren with me because I wanted Jonas to be like, fuck you, Jonas. You're gonna like start shit. No. You stick here with Nona. And when I did that, I'm like, uh-oh.
So
Are they gonna?
when
Because Nona was like, oh, you know, Jonas is pretty cool. You know, he's all right. Like, he's being weird right now. And I was like, oh, Ren, I'm so sorry, buddy. This is gonna go so bad for you.
So when I said earlier that I made all the same choices, I literally made all the same choices. Like I took Nona the first time too. And I really wish I hadn't though, because there was a couple of things that I wanted to see what would happen. Like I wanted to see what would happen if I went with Jonas, if like Nona and Ren would become an item, because Ren has this like undying love for
we forgot to
Nona.
mention that part.
And
Well, that's why I
Nona-
slap him at Truth or Slap, because he
lied.
for the listeners, I slap him Truth or Slap because his truth is, I think Clarissa goes like, do you have a thing for Nona? And he's like, what? Ha ha ha, no. And I was like, yeah, this bitch does. Yeah, 100% he does. And then you're given a chance to walk that back. I said, no, he has a crush on her.
Oh, you blew his shit up.
He gets really mad at you. You slap him. You know, he
Awesome.
like talks to you after too, and is like, "Why would you blow my shit up like that?" and
Yeah,
I was
why
like,
would you?
Because you lied, maybe."
That's the game.
See, this game is awesome. It so reflects back at you. Like what you put into it, you get back. Like, that's awesome.
I was like, "Get good, Ren. Like, how are you gonna get her if you never say anything?"
I so related to Ren being like this kind of dweeby, insecure, nice guy. And like, I hate that I related to that. I like to think I've grown a lot since my teenage self. But I was like, I just like put in a feeler with Nona. I was like, hey, Nona, you know, what do you think of Ren? And Nona was like, eh. And I was like,
He's a
"Aw."
guy.
And then I told Ren, hey, buddy, you know, there's lots of people in the world. You know what I mean?
Did anybody get them together?
We'll talk about that in the endings. I had also tried to kill Jonas with electricity at this point in the game. I should mention that.
Explain.
There's a point when you have to
Oh,
flip a
yeah.
breaker on your way to save Ren,
Yeah.
and you can either do it yourself or you can be like, you do it, Jonas.
Well, Jonas
mean-
offers, to be fair.
Oh,
Jonas is really pushy about it. Like,
Yeah,
I
he
wasn't
is.
trying to kill him. He's just like, can I do it? I want to do it. I want to do it. And I was like, damn, if you've got this fucking, like, savior complex, like, better you than me, I guess.
So I made him do it the first time, and then I lost my progress, and I just, like, I screwed it up. I couldn't, like, make him do it the second time. So in the canon of my game, I took that bullet for Jonas. But I just want you guys to know, in my heart, I was just
100%.
Did you lose your game twice?
at least twice.
Oh, wow.
I might have lost some progress third time. I didn't have to start all the way from the beginning, mind you. I just had to start that scene again.
Oh, gotcha.
I did lose that once, like a scene once, but generally not too often. I just became very, very, very deliberate about like, no, don't speak yet. I have to finish this mobile game scene. Like, it's important.
Sorry, Yasmin, did we ask you who you chose at the tower?
I did pick Jonas because Ren, I was already like, you're high as shit. You're not going to be useful to me. Like, I'll
Interesting.
be not in a like, and I felt bad about it too because I was just like, I feel like this is exacerbating all of the like problems that are currently going on in the dynamics, and I don't have patience for this either way. Like, it's not like I like any one of you particularly more, but I was like, Jonas,
I don't like any of you, just to be clear.
just to be clear, we're all ops. Like, this is not a friendship circle. But for the purposes of, again, pragmatism, and so far you've spent a lot of this game with Jonas. He has been relatively useful. He does just want to talk about your childhood sometimes, but you can tune that out and not respond with dialogue and continue to make your way through the game. So that, it's not really it's not harshing my vibe.
I kind of wanted to
pretty
pick Ren.
useful. He's like pulled the breaker. He's done all these things. I was like, okay, you, I know, will, in a danger situation, probably help me. Ren, I think if you actually see a ghost, you're going to like have a mental break.
Yeah.
And Nona, you're not a person, so that's not a useful option to me. Like, I don't even think I could get you to pull a breaker. You don't do anything.
I kind of wanted to pick Ren just to see what would happen because he was very high and upset, and it's like I want to hear what he has to say about all this. But
It was a pretty chill time. We just kind of like, we're old friends. We're going through. It gave me a chance to like. I will say, as soon as I got Ren alone after I took him away from the control tower, I was like, "Yo, Ren, chill the fuck out. Like, what are you doing? Like, I chose you because you're my boy, but like, leave Jonas alone. Like, Jonas is just here. Like, I started softening on Jonas a little bit. I started feeling a little bad. Part of it was this game does this thing I love is when the ghost, because the ghosts will every now and then interrupt you and mess with you, and you can just talk shit. Like, you can just tell the ghost, like, listen, this isn't, like, fuck off, man. Like, I'm not scared of you. Like, go away. I don't care. And you can just like completely antagonize the ghosts back. And the first time I did that, Jonas immediately got possessed, and I was like, oh shit. I shouldn't have said that. I didn't stop, but I was like, I love a game where you can talk shit to ghosts because this point in my life, that's where I'm at with ghosts. Let me say, ghosts, any ghosts listening to this? Nah, don't come at me. I'm not here for it.
I had the opposite reaction to the ghosts, to be honest, because by the time you're in the rec facilities, I was like, these aren't just ghosts. And I am very interested in finding out what else they are. Like, by that point, the clues I was picking up, the radio stuff I was picking up, I was going, okay, something huge is here. So as soon as every ghost interaction I had, like, I'm doing finger quotes, listeners, I was trying to delve as deep as possible. I was asking them questions. The game will give you options to be like, what's happening and stuff like that. And I would just wait for that to pass and go like, who are you? What's going on here? Can you tell me a little more? Can you expand on that, please? Like, all of the follow-up questions I could possibly ask.
So we're almost at the end of the non-full spoiler section, but we should talk about the backstory with Michael, your brother, your dead brother.
Dun, dun, dun.
So this game seems to be kind of about how everybody's reacting to Michael's death, right?
Yeah.
Or at least how Alex and Clarissa are reacting to Michael's death, and then how Ren, Jonas, and Nona are reacting to Clarissa and Alex.
And the way that they get caught up in that grief and that anger. Yeah.
To me, this game was very much about grief.
Yes, me too. And I want to have a thematic discussion about like what this game was trying to say, but let's bring the listener in a little bit. So you had a brother. His name is Michael. He was an older brother. He was going off to college, I believe.
He dated Clarissa briefly.
He was dating Clarissa. And I believe at the time he was dating Clarissa, I don't know if you flash back to the day he died, but you flash back to a day on the very same island that you guys were at, that you guys are on for the rest of the game, where the bonfire is. You guys hang out, and it's you and Alex and Clarissa. And Clarissa's making
and Michael and Clarissa.
And Michael and Clarissa, sorry. And Clarissa's making an effort to get to know you. She's kind of bringing in like a, hey, I'm like your new older sister. Like we can all hang out and we can be friends.
That's what made me change my mind about her, because I felt really bad. It made me realize she was only being a bitchy high school girl because of her own grief.
Because of her grief. Yes, absolutely.
I felt bad for being so mean to her when I realized she was actually trying and like being nice to me before that, even though they claimed she was always a bitch.
It's so funny the way this game like reflects you back at you, because that's how I felt about Jonas by the end of the game, is that like, oh, you know, I wish I hadn't been so mean to Jonas. You know, he didn't really have a chance. So you go and you hang out with Alex and Clarissa on the beach, and with Michael and Clarissa on the beach, and she makes an effort to get to know you, and you can either give her a chance in that moment or you can kind of be standoffish. I chose to be nice in the moment because she was being nice to me.
And you were still trying to hit.
And I was trying to backfill our history to make it more possible. Yeah. Less trying to hit now that she was dead. You know, but we know. So like we've been saying, there's the surface and then there's what's below the surface. And so this Michael's death and how everyone's reacted to it and the time that's passed since it, and the fact that we're all trapped back together where he died. And we're kind of all returning to the scene of the crime like a year later, something like that. I don't know if there's a time frame.
I think it's a little longer than a year, but like similar idea.
I want to say their parents met each other like a year after.
Oh, right.
Maybe. I don't know.
Weird. Little soon, guys. My feelings about Clarissa shifted here a little bit because it was like, well, I didn't kill Michael. Michael didn't die because of me. And me and Clarissa have shared this tragedy. And she's taking it out on me. And she's blaming me for his death and blaming me for surviving. And I, at that point, lost sympathy for her antagonism towards me. Like, I thought we just didn't get along. But it's that we both shared a trauma and somehow it's my fault now.
Yeah. Well, for me, it actually made it way more understandable and I became more empathetic because it's so common when people lose someone for them to need to find someone to blame. And I'm not saying that that's the right thing for her to do. She shouldn't have done that. She shouldn't have blamed Alex for Michael's death because it wasn't her fault. But it's so understandable that she came to that conclusion to me that it just made me be like, okay, it's her grief talking this whole time. Like, that's why she's being so mean to me. And I felt worse because of that. Like, felt worse for having been mean to her back.
I think, like, I agree, Lindsay, that what you're saying is true and that, like, it's a trauma response. She's blaming you because that's where the grief goes, all of that. But when that became clear to me, and I was already like, you are mad at me for something outside of my control from the beginning, because I was like, I don't think this is just personality. This becomes clear to you. And then you kind of remember, okay, like, we've already reached the point where my parents are getting remarried. Like, it's one thing if this had been a recent experience we'd all had, if Michael had died like super, super recently or something. But I'm like, Clarissa, it's been time. Like, why the fuck are you still this mad at me over it?
Let's take a minute, Yasmin, because we've kind of covered the part of the game that you've seen. What was and this might be spoilers depending on if Yasmin's right. What were the ghosts in your mind, Yasmin? What was going on?
So the ghosts of the miners, 100%. The
miners?
Well, the soldiers, like the drowned.
Oh, yeah. The submariners.
Submariners, thank you. I was still thinking of them as miners from like way earlier in the game because also Silent Hill, thank you. I'm like, what is the brain cell that's active right now? Always that one. But they're the submariners who went down and this is one of those things where I'm like, this is what I was building. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I don't think they're dead.
Interesting.
I don't think,
What made you think that?
The way that they're talking to you and the way they talk about like leave possible and the ways that they talk about it, I don't think they're talking about you leaving. I think they're talking about them leaving.
Yeah.
I think that they're somewhere else. Which with the time loop, I was like, are they in another dimension? Is this some like Archive 81 shit? Like, who knows?
Wow.
But my idea for it was that the ghosts that you're talking to are people who aren't dead. They're just somewhere else. At the same, but layered over you.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I know what they actually are because of the letters that I happened to get. So should we move to the spoiler section and I'll
Can you also give
answer?
me like a grade out of 10 on how well I did there?
Yeah, okay, let's do it. So we're now going to talk about full spoilers. That's everything from the mansion on straight on through to the end of the game. So I'm going to take a few second break and then get right into it. Okay, so Yasmin, I'd say you got about a 6?
No, 10.
What?
10.
Interesting.
Hell yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, I think that was very
Okay.
loud.
No, it's good. But let's take a step back and go through this chronologically. So you get a second radio out of a chest that unlocks the final areas of the map because it turns out that radios are like keys in this world for some reason. And when you get the second radio, your dial expands from like 90 to 110 to being from 50 to 150.
Yeah.
Oh, so all of the suffering I was doing, scrolling that
Amplifies.
entire wheel is going to be way, way worse.
Oh, it's going to be 3 times as bad. And again, it's like this metaphor that we keep coming back to with this game of like the iceberg and the expanding knowledge, and that you know, you've only been picking up 20 hertz or 20 frequencies from the radio, and now you have 100 frequencies on the radio, and it's like your mind's expanding, and it's like the ground beneath you is getting deeper. It's like suddenly the water you're swimming in is a lot deeper than you thought it was, right?
Mhm.
So armed with this expanded radio and the option, I believe, to now find a new secret lore station from this new character that gets introduced who's dead, Maggie Adler. Very Sherlock Holmes name. And there's a new frequency now where there'll be her, and she's like, well, don't listen to the radio voice that tells you like what happened here. Don't worry about that. The guy doesn't know what he's talking about. Here's what really happened. I'm going to give you a clue to my letter, and then you're going to find my letter in the map, and then every location now has these letters you can pick up that give you like the true backstory.
Yeah.
And Lindsay, you said you collected all of these?
No, I didn't collect all of them. I collected the ones that I came across while I was doing my other
Okay.
stuff for the game, but
Me too.
I put together enough of them that I know what the ghosts are now.
Okay, so before we start digging into like what was really going on, let's talk about how things kind of wrap up. So you go to the Adler estate and you find a key for the boat, but then you can't take the boat for some reason. And do you
Well,
remember why?
So Clarissa's still missing, first of all.
Right.
And second, you've unleashed this ghostly havoc upon the island, and so
and you felt responsible.
The plan is to go there to seal the dimensional rift closed so that they can no longer take possession of your friends, basically.
Right, because what's been happening in the game at this point is that your friends are all getting possessed intermittently, and the ghosts say, we want to take over your bodies and live as you, and you can't stop us. And like every time they possess you, it's getting easier for them. This might be a good time for me to mention this is a Star Trek episode. This is a couple episodes. There's an original series episode that I can't remember the name of where they find some brains in jars on a planet, and then the brains in jars take over Captain Kirk and Spock and Nurse Chapel. And there's a Next Gen episode called Power Play. Anyway, you go into the bunker and you fight your memories. Jonas gets weird. Jonas
gets possessed.
Well, Jonas also has his own memories. That he has his own thing. Like the whole
Yeah.
time Jonas has this thing with his mom's song. Because his mom has also died.
His
Yes.
mom's died, yes.
And there's a fun moment where your mirror self talks to you and you get to choose the dialogue options as your mirror self.
It turns out you're the mirror self. And
Yep.
mine had my little Netflix gamer tag above my name. So it knows like, that weird green light above the mirror version of you was your gamer tag backwards.
Yeah.
Okay, what did that mean? I didn't get that. I didn't know what any of that was about.
I didn't actually see a gamer tag thing.
Oh, really?
Sorry, it might have been there and I just didn't notice it. But to me, it was just like you're looking through your past self and trying to give yourself advice on how to make the right decision at the end of the game.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yep.
at the end of the game.
Yeah, when you
Because
decide.
the choice that you're given, the choice that your self is giving you, wonderful sentence there, is what do you do about Jonas's mom?
Oh.
The choice that I was getting through this mirror was where you got to say, like, let Jonas talk to his mom, don't let Jonas talk to his mom, and let things play out however you feel is right.
There was another piece of advice further than that, which ties into the very end of the game, which was you giving yourself advice on whether or not to tell Michael to go away to college or stay here.
Because
Yes.
that will change whether or not he...
Dies.
Does
Yeah.
it?
Yeah.
You can save Michael?
Yep. That's the choice that you make in the end of the game. You decide to whether to tell him to stay or tell him to go. And you can save Michael, and in which case you're never Jonas's stepsister. And Michael's still alive.
Wow, I didn't know you could save Michael.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was what the point of the mirror advice was.
Wow. That never even occurred to me that I could change the past. I always figured the past was the past.
Yeah, see, the first time I chose to let Michael stay dead, and then this time I also chose the same thing, but by accident. I meant to be like, I'm going to choose one thing different, at least this time. I'm going to see what happens if Michael's alive. And then when he was like asking me whether he should stay or go like get in a place with Clarissa or whatever, I was like, oh yeah, you should go. And I was like, wait a second, no, that means he's going to die. Wait, I messed this up.
Wait, so
Oh,
Michael
well.
dies because he gets a place? Because I told him to be with Clarissa too because they were together and they were happy. And I was like, you should be together.
He dies because he's leaving and she asks him to spend one more day like swimming with him, and then he drowns. And
Wait, so he drowned? It was Clarissa's fault.
Maybe. I don't know. It's not really either of their faults,
Well, sure,
but
sure.
like Clarissa being with him did have something to do with it because he left because he wanted to get a place with her or something like that. But
Huh. Damn.
yeah, if you chose to try to convince him to stay, he would have been alive at the end of the game.
So there are a couple people you can make this kind of decision about. This game does a really cool thing where the ghosts at one point say like, all right, listen, you're clearly better at this than we thought you were going to be. We don't know how this is going to shake out. Let us have Clarissa. Let's keep Clarissa and then you guys can go.
So which one did you what did you choose?
I was on a mission. I said, no, we're all leaving together or none of us are. And I really just meant Clarissa. But like, you know, Ren came too, and then Jonas, there's nothing you can do about it, so he came around too. So I'm guessing you didn't choose to sacrifice Clarissa.
I didn't. No, I
Yeah.
saved Clarissa as well.
Kind of want to know what would happen if you did.
Well, I can continue my playthrough.
So, Wolfie, you said that Yasmin got 10 out of 10. Tell me about this. The ghosts aren't ghosts?
The ghosts aren't ghosts.
They're ghosts.
According to the letters that Maggie Adler left, first of all, she was the one who got the signal from the boat and misinterpreted it as an enemy boat, and that's why that happened.
That was why she felt responsible.
Yes.
Oh no, Maggie.
That explains it, because I never found the part where she claimed responsibility for the deaths. I found that she kept saying it was her fault, and that it's her fault her friend died.
Because they tried the same thing as we did in the game, which was to shut down the dimensional rift, but they weren't successful. So I think the
ghost took her friend?
The ghosts, quote, air quotes here, took her through the dimensional rift.
So what makes them not ghosts? So why they're not ghosts?
Apparently, according to the letters, there was some sort of like nuclear reactor on board of the submarine.
Yes.
And that created the dimensional rift in the first place and pulled them through. They didn't die. They're alive in a different dimension trying to get back. And that's why they said, like, we weren't taken before, like, we didn't die before our time. We were taken.
Wow, I really screwed up the ending then.
Yeah, they're not ghosts at all. They're just alive in a different dimension, like in some perpetual state of horror, I guess.
Listeners, you cannot see, but the victory dance I am doing right now.
So
Yasmin was right on the money.
So how did you solve the problem? Because the conflict is that they want your bodies and you want your bodies. So how did you resolve that?
So basically for me, when I was in the dimensional rift and I told them they couldn't have Clarissa, I started closing the dimensional rift.
Mm-hmm.
At one point, you could call one of them or a couple of them by name and try to appeal to them.
Yes, I did
but
that.
I missed the cue for the button. I didn't press it fast enough. So I had to just close it on them and be like, see ya.
Oh.
See, okay, so what happened with me is I called them by name, and then what I said is like, listen, guys, like, your time is up. You're dead. And you need to move on. You need to accept that you're dead and you're in this dimensional rift, and that's where you are, and that's okay. Like, it's not so bad. You can talk to me. So, like, there's something going on. Like, at this point, I had taken the message from this game being to let the past be in the past and to hold on to what you still have lightly, but like to hold on to people in your lives and take care of them and not use the losses you've encountered as an anchor to kind of drown you, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if they weren't dead and I told them that they were just good, what did I do to them?
Jamie, you may have committed a Star Trek level war crime in this.
I think I did. That was like a Captain Kirk move. And I was, what would Picard say? So what outcomes did you guys get? For example, me, in my game, Ren and Nona got together. I don't really know how, but they did. and they were together by the end of the game.
They didn't in mine because I remember my first time I was like talking them up to each other and stuff. But in this game, like I think I just missed the cues for like I didn't even see an option to do that this time around.
I actively didn't try to get them to be together at any point in the game.
That's funny because I was trying to get them together and I didn't get them together.
Interesting, you know? Like, yeah, like I said, like I talked to Nona and Nona was like, not so much. And I told Ren, you know. And then I didn't leave them alone together in the control tower. I left Nona with Jonas. And when they came back, they were like having little in-jokes and shit. And I was like, oh shit, yeah, I'm sorry, Ren. But then they ended up together.
That's funny.
What kind of terms were you on with Clarissa at the end of the game?
I was on good terms with her. Like, according to the little here's what happened to everybody at the end of the game, like the epilogue, I guess. It says we're still like in touch and we like catch up occasionally and stuff like that.
She's still aloof, but like I'm on her good side.
Yeah.
Me and Jonas do not hang out or talk. Jonas went away and it was like, yeah, later.
For me, it said Jonas and I are also on good terms still. It said I lost touch with Nona and that Ren will always be my best friend, but I'm not sure I'll ever see him again because he moved away for college or something like that.
Ooh.
Did you go out of state for college?
I stayed in town.
Okay, I left. And the minute I chose leave town, I got a time loop.
Yep, me too. I think that happens no matter what you choose.
So you can't save
the
your
game
brother.
starts over. Well, I haven't done this because I did not continue my original save file from when I first played this game. But if you do a new game plus, you apparently have the ability to send yourself a message before they even get to the island, like when they're buying alcohol for the trip or something, to warn you not to go. And that's how you break the loop finally.
This game is so cool.
Yeah, this game rocks. Okay, so what was this game about? What did this mean? I thought I knew until the last 10 minutes of this discussion.
I still think it's mainly about grief. I think that's at least the most important takeaway because it seems like I can't speak for as much for Ren and Nona because we didn't really hear much about what they were seeing when they were possessed and stuff like that. But we kept seeing visions of Michael. Jonas
sees his
was,
mom.
yeah, he was seeing or hearing maybe his mom. I can't remember which, but who he also lost. And we see how much of an effect Michael's death had on Clarissa as well. So I think a lot of the game is about grief and loss.
Well, I think it's also like grief and equal parts guilt because you have Maggie Adler who's stuck on this, like the only living resident of this island for so long because she couldn't let go of the guilt that she felt over the grief as well.
I agree.
And you've got Clarissa's like putting the guilt and blame onto you, and you've got all of these different pieces. So, I mean, it's got a time loop in it, so I guess this is the obvious answer, but it is a little bit about being frozen in time in that way, that grief and guilt kind of lock you in to a point in your life or to kind of who you are at a point in your life.
And you also, I didn't actually see Jamie's ending, but like the choice that you made when you were trying to convince the quote ghosts to move on. But it seems like they almost felt guilt from trying to take over living beings' lives, and that's what stopped them from continuing further. Maybe
did you feel a hesitance from them? I felt a sort of entitlement from them, like I
didn't feel hesitance in mine, but I also skipped. I missed the ability to appeal to them by name.
I think what I felt from them, I mean, again, I didn't get as far, but what I kept feeling from the ghosts was this sense of like exhaustion almost. Like I've exhausted every other way I can do this, and you guys are my last kind of resort. Like they weren't happy about this. There wasn't a joy that they found in like possessing you or like in the actions they were taking, but it was like, this is what we have to do.
I felt like there was a little bit of joy. Not joy, that's not the right word, but it almost felt like malice or like spite because they were playing with us so much. They kept playing games with us throughout the whole... Yeah, they did.
Always games. And you can call them games and say, I don't like these games.
Yeah. I will say, as soon as they went, do you want to play a game? I was like, a Saw Netflix game? This is the best day of my life.
I think you guys hit the nail on the head. I think it's about holding on and letting go and what holding on does to you.
Yeah.
Because a lot of these characters are in pain because they won't let go, like you said.
And changed as well, I think.
And the ghosts are like that too, right? Like the ghosts have lost their humanity, literally, in that they've been separated from their bodies. But also, they act as like one force. And the way you like bring them back to their humanity is by calling them by their names. And it's like they've been stuck in this loop for so long, they've just lost
all sense of self.
Yeah, and all they have now is their drive to get back what they've lost, right? And, I think that describes Clarissa pretty well as well as Adler.
I agree.
Yeah. Cool game.
Very
cool fucking game.
Cool game.
We absolutely recommend this one.
Yes,
Yeah.
I think that's
like
unanimous
unequivocally, no hesitations,
Agreed.
no
And
qualms.
you know what? Even if you've gotten to this point in the conversation and haven't played it, go give it a try. Go see
Go save Michael, because clearly none of us did.
Or just go be nice to Jonas for me. Like there's a version of this game where he becomes part of the family, and that, yeah, I wish I'd been nicer to Jonas.
And maybe one of you can find out if Nona is an actual person with three-dimensional
what's she
thoughts and
into? What does she
feelings,
do?
because I still ain't seeing it.
I can speak on that a little bit since I took her with me after the
Yeah,
tower
what did you learn
argument.
about, what did you
Does she
learn about
become
Nona?
more three-dimensional when you're...
Not really. She
Cool.
just
Oh my
kind of
God.
like talks a little bit about her relationship with Clarissa and then invites you to a party.
Oh, really?
Like her birthday or something like that. I can't
damn.
remember. But yeah,
But you're still not friends
she's
with her at the end of
nice.
the game.
She's
Interesting.
nice, but like we didn't really get to know each other that well.
I guess there must be DLC at that party. What happened? Well, keeping on the theme of moving on, I think that's going to do it for Oxenfree. I think we covered it. No B-side this week. Like we said, it's been a long episode, and we don't want to take up any more of your time or precious bandwidth. So let's talk about next week. Next week, we're going to be going back to action games, take a break from all this heady literary gameplay, and we're going to be playing Death's Door. So, Lindsay, how does Netflix describe Death's Door?
Become a crow who reaps souls. It's a dead-end job, but when a thief steals your work, you set off on a sword-slashing quest to unearth Death's secrets.
Okay. Well, I have no idea what that means, but I can't wait to find out. We'll see you guys next week.
The Netflix Gaming Club is produced by Big Bad Audio and engineered by Andrew Blythe. The show is hosted by myself, Lindsay Burak, James Carlisle, and Yasmin Thomas. We'd like to thank the High Loves for the use of our theme song, Sure of It. Check them out wherever you listen to music. As always, if you like what you hear and want to help us grow, please rate us on Apple or Spotify. Or if you're not into public displays of affection, you can always tell a friend or find someone to play these games with, and we'll be here for you after you do. Special thanks to Rob Schulte, Wendy Pretty, and the Netflix Gamers Discord community.